Cadwell Park in Lincolnshire. A twisting ribbon of tarmac, woven through postcard landscapes. An unsuspecting place for power, precision, and poetry on two wheels. With its rolling hills and tree-lined straights, few tracks can match its beauty and picture.
Oh, that's Giannini, Gabriele Giannini, down through the wreck the sail.
Bloody hell! Wasn't expecting that. Let's get the episode started, shall we?
Points off our championship leaders. Wish you well done.
Cadwell, in a nutshell, is just one sort of crazy roller coaster that you have to try and manhandle the superbike around. Riding a superbike at Cadwell is probably the most physically demanding circuit we go to. It's definitely one that you really have to focus on, and it's almost inch perfect. You leave Cadwell on the Monday night, sort of bit of a sigh of relief, because it's a tough place to go and try and do well at, and it's definitely somewhere that is rewarding if you can do well.
The actual layout is not too bad to learn, you know. I mean, any professional racer like Gabriele, he could learn it quite quickly, relatively quickly, and he did. But the idiosyncrasies of the actual circuit is so tough. It's so tough because you've got to turn in exactly the right place. You've got to apex in exactly the right place.
Cadwell, as we all know, you know, even lads have been going there years, still make the mistakes because it's very unforgiving. There's not much room for error. You know, you can't run wide there or anything. Difficult to find your pace or what room you get on track until you're out of room. You know, there's no run-off. Can't run too deep into corners because there's nowhere to go.
Each corner runs into the next corner. I know it sounds obvious, but if you get one corner wrong, the second corner's wrong, the third corner's wrong, and the rest of the course, especially on the mountains, wrong. So what an undertaking as a rider to come from Italy to race on a continental scene, to come to Cadwell Park where it's like no other place in the world.
Thrown into one of the hardest circuits in Britain, Gabriele faced the sharpest of learning curves. But at Cadwell, the smallest mistake can come at a price.
Yeah, obviously for Gabby, this race, he was a bit nervous because of the crash this morning over the mountain, and he's obviously a bit steadier now, but I can see he's a bit more in control. He's holding the throttle on as he approaches, and yeah, lap by lap he'll be improving, but not too sure if he's loving Cadwell at the moment. Needs a few more laps under his belt.
I think there's quite a few little quirks at the track. It's not like that easy to explain. Like I remember trying to explain to Gabriele where he had the crash, how it happened. When you've ridden there before and you know what the track feels like, you almost do it instinctively. So it's not like you remember it every step of the way and it's something you could then relay to someone else before they go. But I feel like after the moment, it was easy for me to say what had happened because I understand how the bike reacts and works, but you're so busy doing that so regularly that you don't realise how often you're doing these little inputs to the bike, you know, modulating the brake because you're going over a rise and then kind of attacking in the loaded part of the hill whilst then you release as you ride over the crest. You do all these things almost instinctively because you've been there so many times, you sort of know it. It's more in the back of your mind, not in the focus. And the focus part of your mind is about trying to break the latest and get to the apex late and, you know, get back on the gas and refine the bike. So there's quite a lot of places on the track that are like that. They're sort of things that you sort of have to learn, and then they become part of your kind of knowledge and, I guess, back catalogue. When I first rode it, it kind of met my expectations. I knew it was narrow and I knew it was a bit like dodgy, and but I was only really interested at that point is in the jump. I wanted to like, I'd sort of looked at it and watched it and thought about it so much beforehand that that was sort of like a bit of a fixture for me. I wanted to do the jump.
Some see Cadwell's infamous mountain as a hazard, others as a stage. And for those brave enough to take flight, there's one unofficial crown worth chasing. King of the mountain.
That jump at Cadwell actually is quite safe. It's like a tabletop. There's no perfect place to land, but there's no bad place to land either. It's all very linear in the way that you land. But where it becomes a problem is if you don't put the right personal input into the bike, then regardless of whether you jump a little bit or a lot, you're gonna have a bad outcome. When you jump, you're actually still in a corner. The way to do it correctly is to actually jump with a bit of angle and then straighten the bike up in the air and then land and ride away. That's how it works well. If you kind of like at the last minute straighten up and then take off, for some reason it always kicks the bike in this way, and then you're kind of like a passenger. Where if you, which seems wrong when you first think about it in basic terms, but when you understand it a bit further, it does make sense. If you actually continue jumping in an angle as the corner is, and when the bike leaves the ground, then straighten it up, you can land straight after that and carry on. It's quite a long-winded way to explain what happens quite simply, but I don't know how else to do it. But I'm sure someone that's like got a grasp on physics and like stuff like that, they would, I don't even know if that's the right word, they would be able to say, well, yeah, it makes perfect sense because of the forces in play. But that's what I love about Evel Knievel. He didn't have a clue. Right now, you get like guys like Pastrana and this Nitro Circus, and they know how fast you got to go. They know the correct angle of the jump. They know the distance that's possible. And before you've even started an engine, they know that you've got to be doing 100 mile an hour on that ramp to make that distance. And there's no, oh, maybe if we get a good run or if you try hard or if you've got good skills, you'll make it. It's like, yes, you will or no, you won't. Where Evel Knievel was just like, yeah, let's line some buses up and we'll build a bit of a ramp. Who's building the ramp? I don't know, some trades guys, we'll just stick some bits of timber on and what bike are you going to use? Yeah, Harley Davidson XR 750, and we're just going to give it a crack, and what speed do you need to go? Oh, I don't know, as fast as I can from back there to here. And then he just starts his bike up and like hits it. As you said, just sends it. He didn't often land well, but he did often make the distance.
I'm good.
You know what I mean? He was awesome. Like, I don't think enough appreciation went into like the lack of engineering behind the job.
Cadwell Park. Beautiful, brutal, but unforgettable. A weekend that tested spirit and skill in equal measure. Now at Donington, the team turns a page as a new rider takes his first shot at the big leagues. Donington has seen triumphs and heartbreak. But this weekend, it became the proving ground for a rider, taking his very first steps at the highest level.
When Joe came along, I've never worked with Joe before, didn't know much about him. Seen him on the stocker bike, doing well. Nice lad, kind of very calm, and collected.
Donington's one of my favourite tracks. I think it's probably top 3 tracks in Britain, that's for sure. I knew when I said to Johnny, yeah, let's do it, I would be up against it. But I looked back at the start of the year and DAO Racing had a good round there. They got third, so they was on the podium, so I knew the bike could work round there. It was a challenging weekend, but I always knew that, and I accepted that when I had the phone call with him. It was probably the best decision I've made in my career so far.
What was his first feedback when he got back in after the first few laps?
Well, I'll have to swear. So he said, "F***ing hell, it's really fast." Even from a stock 1000, they are a lot quicker, and the chassis on them are Tonte, the suspension works well, the brakes are really powerful, everything is just mind-blowing at first.
What an experience. First time on a superbike. When I went down the back straight for the first time, I was like, geez, I weren't used to that. How fast the bike is. As soon as you get a couple of laps in, you get adjusted to that. But it's the riding style. Like say, you stop in the corners a lot more than you do a little bike, but then you fire out 10 times as quick.
It's fast. I do enjoy it. It's good, but what can I say?
Even throughout the day as I was switching bikes, I learned a lot, and I could take that into the super sport as well. So definitely a good weekend for me in my career by learning a lot, and working with a team was amazing.
Yeah, his eyes were as big as saucers when he got back in, and I said, you know what, after you've ridden this bike, you're not going to want to ride anything else. Right, definitely slicks, 100%. White line further up here, right, a little bit slippery. So gauge everyone else, all right? Don't take a chance, go on it first, and see what everyone else is doing, all right? And then just gauge them and work on it and build like you've been doing.
Yeah, he already says the curbs, I says keep
Yeah,
away from
yeah,
them.
yeah,
I'll tell him
definitely.
again before we go.
I mean, especially coming out of Goddard, these fucking,
Before
they're
we go,
really
I'll tell
slippery.
him to keep away
Yeah.
from the curb.
Yeah, they're really slippery.
Unless other people are running them, but, you know, keep away.
It's super wet, but it's going to dry out.
Yeah.
So, unless it rains again, of course.
Like Max's lot's changed the wheels. Storm left his front dry, and so you can only stay dry, can't you?
Yeah.
In a championship this fierce, scoring points first time out is no small achievement. For Joe, it was less about fireworks, more about laying a foundation.
You know, we are in a development process. It's not that, you know, people would see us carrying that role, but I feel like for us to make steps and move forward and become more regularly competitive nearer the front, we have to develop this bike through a series of changes. I feel like all the year we've been focusing on like chassis suspension adjustments. Maybe the answer isn't in that. Maybe we need to look at the engine or the fueling or something else that we're not fixing our attention on. I feel like we have no choice but to kind of see if we can expose some weakness in another area of our package.
So, you know, like whatever we've done, I think they've gone even another step.
Because like
so
Melbourne
it jumps off the corner, but then it's got no top end. It's completely fucked up the top.
So more torque,
but no top end.
Giannini's worse.
Because at one point I thought he made a mistake. I come up and I was like, catch him, and all of a sudden I was like, catch him real quick.
Yeah.
And I thought, he's missed a gear. But the next lap the same.
Yeah.
So it's just the speed.
Just the speed, the power.
At the top speed, his drops off.
Okay.
like coming out of Melbourne Loop, I tried to get a good judge. It's hard with the camera angle.
Yeah.
But he looked strong. Like when he was behind you, he looked like the punch.
Yeah,
he sat with you pretty well.
Yeah.
Even though there's been some people filling in for Lee, Gabriele doesn't have the speed or the experience or whatever to bring in a load of information. Equally, like Joe's a great potential for the future, but right now he's not able to bring anything that's going to help me, as it seems. So yeah, I'm missing having that teammate.
Yeah, I walk in, I was back to the action. I want real love, stay away from the actors. I shut down the noise and all the distractions. When it's go time, it's lights, camera, action. Always keep it real from the womb to the tomb. Everybody get quiet when I walk in the room. All going right when they see what I...
You have all your ideas, when I change this, it will do this. We need to sacrifice one area to gain another. But when it's a completely blank canvas for us, you can take guidance, look at what others are doing, but it doesn't necessarily mean with your setup, your configuration, that it's going to pan out the same way. So we've made a lot of steps where we've gone one way, written it off and been like, no, that's no good. I think we struggle as well with our bike works in a very narrow window, and to always try and hit the sweet spot at every circuit you go to, especially in a development year, is tough.
Finding the sweet spot can feel like chasing a moving target. But, as our little Lego daredevil proved, sometimes progress takes a few sideways landings before it finally sticks. Next time out at Assen, the team regroups. Full strength restored, focus renewed, and eyes fixed forward.